Hey y'all, thanks for joining early. We're going to get started in a few minutes, but just want to let y'all know.
Thanks for having this.
Of course, thanks for coming.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm gonna have my camera off because I'm in the vehicle.
That is quite all right. No worries. Hi, Robin. Long time no see.
Good seeing you. I can't wait to listen to this.
Yeah, it's nice to have a familiar face. I appreciate you showing up.
You bet. I wouldn't miss it.
Hopefully, you learned some things.
Oh, I'm sure. A lot. Probably it'll fall right in line with Lent.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I know that's right. Hi, Joan. Good to see you. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Mara. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Ashley.
All right. So, out of respect for everyone's time, I know we'll probably have some more people trickle in as I go, but we'll go ahead and get things rolling. Feel free to turn on your cameras, or if you're not feeling brave or need to do other things, totally get it. Feel free to keep yourself off. So, without further ado, my name is Ashley. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about healthy living for your brain and body. And this is an Alzheimer's Association education program. and I am presenting it as one of the community educators at the Capital of Texas chapter here in Austin, Texas. But a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Ashley. I'm working on my Doctor of Occupational Therapy at the University of St. Augustine. And part of that is my capstone experience. I'm working with the Alzheimer's Association, where I'm a community educator, a caregiver support group facilitator, among a few other things. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But how I got started and my connection to the disease was actually quite a few years ago, back when I was in undergrad at Georgia. I worked as a memory activities coordinator in the memory care department at a local memory care facility. And I worked there for about a year and a half before I transitioned into more of a private caregiver role with one of the families I worked under. And I did that until I graduated and came to Texas for grad school. So that's a little bit about me and my story. But today we're going to be talking about science-based recommendations on taking care of our brains and bodies. Like Robin said, it's a great time with Lent coming up. We'll share some stories and offer tips on how to make small changes to build healthier habits. And I encourage you to think about your health and lifestyle and how you make changes to live healthier. So if you're like me, I do not read the learning objectives unless I read them with someone. So let's go. By the end of the program, you'll be able to identify how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies and list strategies for healthy decision-making in the following areas: sleep, smoking, mental health, physical activity, balanced nutrition, cognitive engagement, and social engagement. Throughout the program, you're going to hear tips for each of these strategies. And as we go through these, I wanted to mention Miss Barbara should have sent out a worksheet, which is a handout and then copies of the slides. So you have copies of that. If you don't, feel free to message me your email and I will send you a copy afterwards. But if you are able to, I think it would be great to use the handout during this presentation. But if you don't have it up, no worries. Same benefit of doing it afterwards. Or if you don't do it all, I won't know. But just some suggestions so you know what to expect. But we're going to go ahead and roll on. All right, so we're going to begin by talking about the brain. The brain is the control center of the entire body. It manages everything, including our thoughts and movements. There are approximately 100 billion nerve cells called neurons in the brain. They are structured like branches of the tree, creating a network of pathways through which signals are sent to form memories, thoughts, and feelings. Many diseases can affect the brain. For example, Alzheimer's progressively destroys brain cells as it moves throughout the brain, affecting more functions as the disease progresses. The heart-brain connection. We now know that the heart and brain are connected, and what's good for your heart is good for your brain. Science has recently been able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize health. Much of the heart-brain connection is due to the fact that the brain is nourished by the body's richest network of blood vessels. The oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain throughout the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. Each time your heart beats, 20 to 25% of the blood being moved goes to the brain, which is why it's so important to keep your heart in good working condition to keep that brain fueled to do its work and get that blood supply. All right. This program is more than Alzheimer's and others dementias, but it's good to know just some basic information about it. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with a little knowledge check question. Do you think Alzheimer's is a normal part of the aging process? True or false? Please come off of mute because I cannot see the chat too. Be brave.
False.
False.
False. That is correct. Alzheimer's is a progressive and fatal brain disease. Symptoms usually develop slowly and get worse over time. While the greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's is increasing age, the disease is not a normal part of aging. Most individuals with the disease are 65 or older, and after 65, the risk of developing Alzheimer's will double every 5 years. As we get older, it's common to experience some age-related changes to memory or thinking abilities, which may be forgetting where you left something, like your keys if you're like me, but finding it later, or sometimes having trouble finding the right word. That's known as cognitive decline. Dementia is a general term used to describe problems with thinking or memory that are severe enough to interfere with a person's daily life. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. It is caused by brain damage to the brain that affects the cell's abilities to communicate, which can affect thinking, behavior, and feelings. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, affecting about 55 million people worldwide living with Alzheimer's and other dementias. There's no cure. However, there are drug and non-drug options that can help with symptoms and may have the ability to slow disease progression. And while there are no proven methods to prevent cognitive decline or dementia, research has shown that we can take action to reduce our risk of developing it and help maintain or potentially improve our overall health. So, the story of your health. There are many factors that can impact your health, including genes, family history, environment, and lifestyle. As we age, it's common for us to experience some similar changes, like getting gray hair, or wrinkles, or needing new glasses for reading. But as individuals, we experience getting older in many different ways. This is due in part to our genes. Genes are beyond our control and influence the way that we are. For example, some families' genes allow them to live well into their 90s or longer, while other families' genes can lead to diseases earlier in life that may shorten their lifespan. In addition, the environments in which we live, work, and play can have significant effects on our health, and many of these are difficult to change and beyond our control. But we do have some control over other factors involving our health. Making improvements in these areas could possibly affect overall health, even for individuals with a family history of certain conditions like dementia or heart disease. So, your blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and cholesterol levels are all key parts of the story of your overall health, including your brain. It's really important to understand these numbers and make sure you keep an eye on them, which is why having your annual physical is so important. Growing research suggests that many factors increase the risk for heart disease and stroke, may also increase that risk for cognitive decline and dementia, as there is strong evidence of a connection between midlife high blood pressure or hypertension and later life dementia. The evidence also shows that controlling blood pressure can have a significant effect on your risk for cognitive decline and possibly dementia. Keeping diabetes controlled is also important, as studies have shown an increase in the risk of cognitive decline and possibly dementia among individuals living with diabetes, although diabetes has not, to this point, been proven to cause Alzheimer's disease. Maintaining a healthy weight is important too, as researchers have found that midlife obesity may be associated with an increased risk for dementia. And as I said before, we know what's good for your heart is good for your brain, and we know that good cholesterol levels is good for your heart. The best way to combat these health concerns is to know your numbers and keep an eye on them, especially if they change. Make sure you keep into contact with your doctor or another healthcare professional to understand what your numbers should be and what they mean for your overall health. Many of healthy living strategies we'll talk about next will have the potential to support you in working to maintain the optimal numbers for these pieces of the puzzle. But first, we'll pause for another knowledge check question. So come off of mute if you're feeling brave. True or false? It's never too early or too late to incorporate healthy habits.
True.
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 Correct. People of all ages can benefit from adding in more healthy behaviors, so let's learn about some of them. All right. Today we're going to be touching on getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, getting moving, eating healthy, challenging yourself, and staying connected. And we'll look at what the science tells us in each of these as changes we can make in these areas to help our bodies and our brain. And as we touch on each of these areas, I really want you all to reflect on how you can apply this knowledge to your own life by considering how you can do what you enjoy, make gradual changes that are relevant for you and how you live, and start now regardless of your age. So first, let's talk about sleep. Well, quality sleep is essential for overall health and well-being. Not only does sleep allow us to rest and recharge, it also affects our ability to maintain healthy blood pressure and control diabetes. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and thinking. Adults should aim for no less than 6 hours of rest a night. Of course, there may be interruptions from others in your home or uncontrollable factors that occasionally make this difficult. The main takeaway I want you to know from this is to just try and improve the quality of sleep when possible. So let's think about your own sleep habits. Do you get enough sleep? Or more importantly, do you get enough quality sleep where you wake up feeling rested? What kind of environment helps you sleep? What changes might help you create a more peaceful sleep setting? And how can you minimize disruptions? Keeping these questions in mind, we're going to talk through some tips that can help improve sleep quality. Let's start by thinking about the environment. Do you sleep better when you are cooler or warmer? I'm personally a lot like it cold. Do you need silence or light noise? Do you prefer some light or complete darkness? You can also consider what small changes you might make, such as adding fewer or more blankets, a fan for white noise or temperature control, or even a sound machine. Try and minimize any disruptions, such as sleeping in a separate space from others, or even changing others' routines to help yourself. And by minimal changes, I mean by this in terms of like making the TV be turned off at a certain time so you don't have to hear it in the other room through your wall or whatnot. Experts recommend turning off your screen before bedtime to help wind down for sleep. And if you use your phone for music or an alarm clock, make sure to put it out of reach so you aren't tempted to pick it up and look at it. If you frequently experience sleep problems, though, or have sleep apnea, please talk with your healthcare professional to get more information. The next aspect of healthy living we'll explore is being smoke-free. Did you know that smoking has a direct impact on the health of your brain? I did not. So studies have found that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and may increase the risk of dementia. The benefits of quitting smoking include a lower risk of heart attack, stroke, and lung disease, better blood circulation, and avoiding exposing others to secondhand smoke. Quitting smoking may reduce a person's chance of developing cognitive decline back down to the level of non-smokers. So there is hope. If you currently smoke, I want you to think about what you could do to help you stop. And if you don't smoke, what's something that's helped you stay smoke-free? What resources are available online or in your community? Let's discuss some tips for being smoke-free. I do want to acknowledge that quitting is very hard and it's not just something that kind of happens on a whim overnight. I'll just want to acknowledge that from the top, but it's important to find support through quit lines and even talking with your doctor or another healthcare professional to kind of help you with this process. You can also look for a smoking cessation program or a strategy that works best for you. Next, mental health. It's really important that you take care of your mental health and prioritize yourself by making time for self-care. You may have a lot of things on your plate. Maybe you care for others, are juggling a heavy workload, or are dealing with life's unexpected many surprises. Pay attention to your stress level and any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. These affect your health, the health of your brain. Talk with your doctor about how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. And take some of the healthy habits we're about to talk about. And this may be having regular physical activity to decrease stress and increase your ability to manage stress, which can lead to overall better mood, or even getting better sleep can help contribute to that better mental health picture. Okay, so some questions to think about. Taking care of yourself is really important, especially if you're caring for others. Even if you're busy with a full schedule, it helps to take a few moments to give yourself a break. This can help boost your mood and lower your stress level. I just want y'all to remember that self-care is not selfish. I hear that a lot, and I just want to dispel that myth. But think about some things that you like doing and how you can build breaks into your day. How can you focus on self-care? Let's talk about a few ideas. Okay, so maybe you choose something that makes you feel happy or feels like a break, even if it's for a few moments. Maybe that's taking a nap, having a nice special drink, like a tea or a beverage, going for a walk, playing a game, making art, or even listening to a funny podcast. I'd love it if anyone would be willing to share how they prioritize or incorporate self-care into their day. I'd love to hear from one or two people. So feel free to share.
Ashley, I like to meditate in the morning before work.
I like that. Do you have an app for that, or is that just out there by yourself?
So I don't have an app. I will, depending on how much time I have in the morning or like my stress levels, I'll go to YouTube and literally just type in like 5 to 10 minute meditation video at times.
Love it. That's so good, especially when you don't have a lot of time. You just got to get it done. I like that you make that time for yourself. Thank you for sharing, Amanda. Does anybody else have a self-care tip they'd like to share?
I pay too much for my gym membership, so I feel pressured to go every day.
Working out is a good way. I like that suggestion. All right. Well, those are good. We're going to keep moving. We'll have some more opportunities to share in the coming slides. All right. So getting moving is next. There's quite a bit of research on how physical activity affects our brains and keeps them healthy as possible. Getting back to that gym, many studies have found that consistent physical activity is associated with lower risk of cognitive decline. Some researchers say that if people had to choose one thing to do to improve their brain functioning, it should be physical activity, as evidence shows that physical activity may directly benefit brain cells by increasing blood flow and oxygen flow. It may also reduce other risk factors such as high blood pressure and diabetes. Most researchers believe exercise should be regular and more on the vigorous side, things that get your heart pumping and the blood flowing. Whereas other studies have shown benefits from milder activities, such as just walking or strength training. However, there isn't a single recipe for what works best. In general, for most people, any increase in movement is a positive change that can have an impact on overall health. So even if it's just taking the stairs instead of the elevator, you're doing big things. I know it can be hard and overwhelming to sometimes think about adding more movement to your already full day, but little changes add up. Research shows that even 20 to 30 minutes of walking a few times a week can have health benefits. The most important thing is to be as active as you can and do activities you enjoy so you'll keep doing them. So think about what activities you want to try. Are there ways you can build more physical activity into your day? And is there someone you can ask to join you? Let's look at some tips. All right. So if this is new for you, start small and find things that might already be part of your day, such as walking to go collect your trash cans instead of letting your partner do it, taking the stairs more often, like I said in the previous slide, or even walk around your neighborhood. You can think about what activities you like to do or want to try. Try to move quickly to get your heart rate up and break a sweat. And activities like tennis or dancing are great ways to do so. There is a lot of Just Dance videos on YouTube that will get your heart pumping. You can also ask your friends to join you, as this way can be social, which is another benefit for your brain and can support and get you support for starting to make that into a routine. Kind of like an accountability buddy is kind of what I say. As always, check with your doctor or another healthcare professional to make sure new activities will be safe for you if you're concerned. And I would love to hear if one or two people would share an example of how you stay physically active or how you've built time to move into your daily schedule.
It's better for me to get up early in the morning to work out because I know as the day goes on, it's just not going to happen. I get tired and tireder.
I like that, especially because I have the most energy at the beginning of the day.
I like to sit, save like maybe just going on a slow walk with the dog or, in the afternoon, but the more vigorous one early in the morning.
I like it. Does anybody else have something they'd like to share?
My kids and I, we walk to school, so it was just an easy way to implement that.
Love that. And you got your accountability buddies.
Yeah, they got to get to school.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing. We'll go ahead and go on to the next. We'll have another opportunity to do so in a few slides. All right, so the next area we'll talk about is balanced nutrition. Eating an overall healthy diet may reduce your risk of many diseases. And I just want to preface and say that I am not a nutritionist, a dietitian, any of that. Just got the bare bones here today. So I'll take you through that. I just wanted to let you know and be transparent up front. So as we've already discussed, what's good for your heart is good for your brain. And the same is true when it comes to the foods we eat. We know that healthy fuel for the body benefits brain functioning, and eating a balanced diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, stroke, and diabetes. But there are many differing opinions on what is the best way to eat to maximize health. Research on the relationship between nutrition and cognitive function is somewhat limited, but it does point to the benefits of balanced nutrition. Two good examples of this are DASH, also known as the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension diet, and the Mediterranean diet. So, DASH, I did not know about before I started this training, is a flexible diet and balanced eating plan. Studies show that the DASH diet lowers high blood pressure and improves levels of blood lipids, or the fats in your bloodstream. This may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because DASH is a healthy way of eating, it may also lower the risk of osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. On the other hand, the Mediterranean diet incorporates the basics of healthy eating along with the traditional cooking style of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. A research study of more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could reduce the risk of death from heart disease and cancer. It may also reduce the risk of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. But these are just examples, and there are others. The important thing is to find balanced options in the food you eat and the food that's important to your culture. So out of all these diets that have been shown to be effective, they have certain things in common. So let's look at a few of those elements. You might be pretty familiar with some of these, so take a moment to start thinking about how they fit into your meals you eat regularly or are important to your culture or family. These include incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your daily diet. Some studies indicate that certain fruits, such as berries, may be particularly helpful, and eating green leafy vegetables has been shown to have health benefits. Eating nuts, beans, and whole grains, eating lean meats, fish, and poultry, choosing foods containing polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, which are found in nuts, plant-based oils, particularly olive oils and avocado oil, and fish. Aiming for a diet low in saturated fats is also important. And lastly, staying away from processed foods, deep fried foods, and large amounts of sugar and salt, which is an ever-trying thing for me. But it's never too late to adopt a heart-healthy diet, and studies show that making these changes even in later life can benefit brain health. But making changes to what we eat regularly can be hard. So let's talk about some suggestions on how to make healthier eating changes work for you. Let's think about what you can cook differently to make your meals healthier. What foods could you swap in? And what foods would you be willing to try? So let's go over some tips. Use olive oil instead of butter in preparing food. Use sodium-free spices or flavorings instead of salt. Don't add extra salt when cooking rice or pasta. Read food labels and choose low sodium or no salt added options. Focus on what you can add instead of what you're taking away, such as adding in a fruit as a snack or a vegetable to your pasta. Choose fresh, frozen, or canned vegetables. You can also build meals around your vegetables, beans, and whole grains. Choose fresh or frozen skinless poultry, fish, and lean cuts of meat. It's recommended to eat fish a couple of days per week and serve fruit, and you can possibly serve fruit for dessert as well. So those are just a few tips. I am going to go on a soapbox really quick about vitamins and supplements. So the World Health Organization says that vitamin supplements are not recommended to reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Balanced nutrition, like we just discussed, will have that biggest advantage for promoting health of your body and brain, not supplements. Also want to mention that the US FDA does not regulate supplements, so beware of false claims and know that vitamins and dietary supplements may interact with your medications. The best way to understand and address how to take care of yourself is with a healthcare professional. So if you have additional questions about vitamins and supplements, it would be best to be supervised by the use of a medical professional. So let's see how much you know about another area of health. And this will be our last question. So all the money, 50-50 shot. Challenging your brain may help lower your risk of cognitive decline. True or false?
True.
That is true. Continuing to challenge our brain or our minds as we age may lower the risk of cognitive decline. Challenging your mind might have short-term and long-term benefits for your brain. So, what is cognitive engagement? Cognitive or mental engagement is a term that means keeping our minds active. Anything that uses your brain in challenging ways is a cognitive activity that can possibly have benefits for your brain. This can be learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging in ongoing learning. Scientists believe that as you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain builds new connections between brain cells. The more connections that you have, the more nimble your brain is, and the better you may be able to guard against the effects of injuries or diseases that can compromise brain function. Cognitive engagement encourages blood flow to the brain, and mentally stimulating activities may possibly maintain or even improve cognition. Formal education is also important, as research has shown that engaging in classroom-based learning, led by professionally trained teachers, will help you keep your brain healthy and protect you from developing dementia. Some researchers believe that this may be due to education creating a more robust network of communication pathways between neurons in the brain. So, how can we challenge ourselves? Ask yourself what new hobbies or skills you want to learn. Are there any activities you can think of that sound like a fun challenge? What topics do you want to learn more about? It's important to focus on things of interest that are a challenge for you specifically, because what's challenging for one person may not be challenging for another. So let's look at some tips. One of the best ways to stay challenged and keep your brain as resilient as possible is to engage in activities that require learning new things or solving problems. Here are some general ideas in mentally stimulating activities. Take a class at a local college or community center on a new topic or skill. I was telling my mom about this the other day, that once you're 65 or older, most colleges have a program where you can, it's called Audit the Course, and you can take courses for free. So I always like to throw that out there. Even if you're not 65, you might know a friend who would benefit from that. But other ideas are building a piece of furniture, learning a new language on Duolingo, trying a new cooking technique, or learning a strategy game. While completing jigsaw or crossword puzzles can be a good way to manage stress, cognitive engagement is all about solving a problem that has you stumped, or figuring out ways to approach a familiar task in a more effective way. It requires you to think steps ahead and make plans for adapting to changes, like thinking about what an opponent may do next in a game like chess. I also want to caution y'all that while brain training activities such as computer games that aim to improve memory and attention span are an exciting area of ongoing study to evaluate their impact on cognition, none of these are currently proven to prevent dementia or Alzheimer's, so just be cautious of commercially marketed brain games with big claims and promises. And I'm curious, I'd love to hear from one or two people, what sort of mentally engaging activities do you like to do?
I like doing the connection.
Ooh, I love the New York Time connections. That one's hard.
So
I like doing Wordle too.
Wordle, love that one. There's apparently a Wordle for math equations, and I was like, I gotta tap out of that one. The word's hard enough. Does anybody else like to share?
I had read somewhere that they were talking about how basically like our social connections and just how challenging those relationships are, were actually so much more powerful for our brain than any type of brain game. So they were really encouraging people to pursue social connection over, and I thought that was a really interesting perspective. I'd love to know what you think about it.
Well, Mara, I love that you brought that up, because the next topic is social engagement. So what a great segue. That's awesome. So we'll go ahead and get into that kind of section and talk about that. But that final area is social engagement, or connecting others in a social setting, which can have many health benefits, like Mara said. All right, so there's some research that shows connecting with others may support brain health. Those who are regularly engaged with other people also tend to have reduced rates of mortality and disability. We know that people don't do well in isolation. When people feel well connected to others, they tend to make healthier choices in other parts of their lives. So, there are many ways to stay connected with others and reap the benefits of social interaction. As always, do activities that are meaningful to you, as these will provide the greatest connection with those around you. Think about how you like to connect with others and where there might be some new opportunities to do so, such as getting involved in your community or joining a club or group. So here's some tips. There's a number of ways you can do this, such as volunteering for a cause that's important to you, scheduling regular phone calls or video chats, if you're long distance or out of state friends with people like me, visiting friends and family, or becoming involved in your community. I would love to hear if anybody has any ideas for staying connected that they would like to share.
Yeah, I think like,
Oh.
ooh, sorry, I was just gonna say, Ashley, I would agree with you in terms of for some of my long distance friends, FaceTime calls has always been a great way to get to connect with those people.
I like the FaceTime, especially because you get to read the facial expressions too. That's really good.
What I've learned is that we have to plan it on the books, because when you keep saying, we got to get together, it never happens. So I've learned to send out a group text to some of my girlfriends and my best friends who are busy working people and say, hey, can you guys do this date? And then at least we start working on a date and we can narrow down. And even if we have to reschedule, but at least we, get it in the books, because it doesn't seem to happen.
I really like that. That's a good idea.
And even when we meet for dinner, then we said, okay, when's the next time we can get together? Even if it's 6 weeks or 7 weeks, it doesn't have to be like every week, even if it's once a month. So there's a couple group of moms that I do that. My daughter's, off in college now, but some volleyball moms, that I hung out, spent many hours with in the gym with our girls. So anyway, that's been helpful for me.
That's really practical. I might take a page out of your book there.
I like that you said that actually, because that's something I didn't think about being valuable. But anytime I meet up with friends, whether we go on a trip together or even we just go out to eat, we always plan our next whatever it is at that, time, because otherwise it just time gets away.
Yeah, that's my big problem right now. So that is a great strategy. I'm definitely going to be using that one. I also wanted to share a funny little thing. You might have seen it on Instagram or TikTok or whatnot. But one thing I do with my friends, I'm from North Carolina originally. I'm here in Texas. So we have a thing called Waffle Wednesday. And we have a shared photo album. And each Wednesday we upload like a 2 to 3, maybe 5-minute video about how our week's been, what's going on, things we're looking forward to. And that's been a great way because we're all have really weird schedules, me being a student and then my other friends having full-time jobs. So it's been helpful to stay connected without having to like have that scheduled time, I guess. But I definitely still prioritize making calls with them too, because you can't, I need it all. I need it all the love. But we'll go ahead and proceed on. I love what everyone's saying and sharing. So we'll recap on what we learned today. In general, a key principle of what's good for your heart is good for your brain. If you take away nothing, please just take away that. What is good for your heart is good for your brain. That is something really new and I think really helpful to think about, because it's hard to think about what's good for your brain, but there's so much education about what's good for your heart that might be a little bit easier to translate. Also, it's important, the key elements of healthy living for your brain and body are getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, being physically active and eating healthy, and challenging yourself and staying socially connected, as all of these have potential benefits. In fact, there's ongoing research into how engaging in multiple activities across these areas may have the greatest benefit for your brain. Whenever it's possible, think about how you can make changes that affect more than one area at a time to maximize health benefits of your habits. For example, taking a walk with a friend combines physical activity and social engagement. Maybe for some of you, that's walking your kiddos to school. Combines both of those. As many of you have shared your great examples today, you can make small changes that will have a significant impact, helping you live as well as possible. It's never too early or too late to start building more healthy habits into your life. But before we wrap up today's program, we're going to have a little promo for the Alzheimer's Association and the resources. What I like to say about this, it's better to know what they are and not need them than to need them and not know what they are. So I'll kind of breeze through them. So first one is the Alzheimer's 24/7 helpline. It's in the name, but it's available anytime, day or night, and it provides access to highly trained and knowledgeable staff who can help with a bunch of things. And it doesn't have to be an emergency to call this. You can call it if you have any type of question. And it's available in over 200 languages, which is why I also love it. There is a bunch of resources online at alz.org. If you're like me and you love education or documentaries, they have alz.org/education. They do not have documentaries. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. They have educational videos that are really helpful, mainly about Alzheimer's and other dementia, but that could be a way to learn something new and stimulate your brain. So just an idea. And then lastly, the Alzheimer's Association and AARP have a community resource finder because it's really hard to locate all what's available to us, right? So you just go in there, type in your zip code, and it'll give you all the resources in your area, such as long-term care, community-based services, the local Alzheimer's Association offices, and then support services as well. So that concludes everything I wanted to tell you about. And hopefully you've learned a few things that you'll take away and implement in the coming days, months, weeks, whatever it may be. Does anybody have any questions? Are there any healthy lifestyle tips anyone wants to try to implement this week? I'm curious.
Ashley, I think when I go grocery shopping next, you talking about the Mediterranean diet as well as the different berries and fruits and things to incorporate into your diet. I think I'm going to set that as a goal for next week when I go grocery shopping.
I love that.
I think it helps to meal prep too for the week if you get busy. Try to do that on like Sunday, Monday, make a couple things for the week and so that I can eat healthy or at least do my best.
Idea. Yeah, that helps curb you from the late night P. Terry's or Chick-fil-A temptation. All right. Well, if there's no further questions, I just want to thank you guys so much for your time and being here with me today and engaging with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great Thursday and go out there and be well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hi, Nana.